Oh, amazing. Oh. Now this is the first time I've really had a close look at these males. We've seen them briefly before. And I'll be honest with you, I think they're physically bigger than the Mapokos. These are very, very large lions. If I look at this guy now, obviously his belly is full of buffalo. But he's a physically very, very large cat. He's not that old yet. Both these males, I'd say, have still got 2 years or so to really mature. And certainly already are, but I'm sure will become more and more forces to be reckoned with in the northern Sabi Sands. I'll just look at the height of him. If you look at from his sort of, call it his elbow to his shoulder, that alone is telling me that this is a big lion. Physically, he's one-on-one. I think he would smile at any of the Mapokos. Yeah, just as a size comparison, like I said, slightly smaller than those males that I knew. I would estimate this guy is probably 210 kilograms maybe. 220 maybe at the most. Very large lions. Just to translate that for you, that's about 480 pounds. Ooh, I like this lion. So just looking at his face, looking into those eyes, he's got a very large head. The skull itself is massive. Look at that, look at those eyes. It's been interesting what's happened, and unfortunately difficult to really get the sort of the real feel for it, because we see these lions so seldom. But essentially these males are dominant now. Sort of say that we're their southern boundary, sort of here, Western Gari, the area that we drive on, Tela and so on, would be the southern end, or the southern extent of their territory, going up into Manyeleti to our north, Buffelshoek, even across to Torchwood to our east. Why that's interesting is that it sort of almost makes them more the dominant males over the Kahuma pride than the Mapokos are at the moment, but the Kahumas have sort of managed to avoid these guys to a large extent as well. And it would be lovely if we could see the pride again and start getting into touch with the dynamics at the moment. But these guys certainly have asserted themselves here in the north to the point that the Mapokos haven't been up yet. There's been no challenge in that respect. So interesting they're moving in. And I think certainly from their physical size, just look at that. Ah, they're big cats. Forget how big lions are if you don't see them far. Suddenly you come up here, that man, from his nose to the start of his tail, so without the tail he's taller than I am. Tail included, it'll be probably just over 3 meters long from nose to tail tip. It's about 10, 11 feet. It's a big cat. Guys, I'm just going to stick with this light for now. When there's a gap, we're going at infrared on, but it's just lucky for us that he's busy feeding. This lion is very full already, looking at his belly. So at any minute now he might stop and go lie down like the other lion is doing as well. And then the action will stop for a while. So it's best we make the most of it while we can. That's the closest we can get, Herman. I know he's moving a bit, but try and see how far we can look into that eye. Oof, very impressive. Lions can eat up to about 20% of their body weight in sort of one big sitting. And a lion like this case means he could eat in the region of 40 kilograms of meat. It's almost 90 pounds, half of what I weigh in one feeding session. It's bigger, Herman.
Massive.
Standing side onto us at the moment, and he's a spectacular lion, this. The mane will still get a bit bigger. The mane's beautiful already. They're quite blonde lions. That's one of the first things I noticed the first time I saw them there close to Buffelshoek Dam. But another 6 months or a year, the mane will get even bigger. And these lions will truly be spectacular. Should we try a close-up eye again? just while this lion is relatively stationary, he was moving so much earlier. Just look at that. Ah, isn't that amazing? Look at the nostril. And the canines. Look at the tongue texture as well. We often mention that. You can't often see it. If you can make it out when he opens his mouth again, you'll notice there's little, almost like I always compare it to hair-like nails. If you feel the tongue of a lion, if you brush your fingers across it, it's very almost like little spikes or hooks on the tongue. And they use that to, oh, look at that, even when he licks, you might see that the tongue actually can grip onto meat, so they can lick meat or tissue to get hold of it, as well as obviously lapping up water when they're drinking. Oh, that was looking down the throat of a lion, like I said earlier. That was probably the closest we've come to doing that ever. There you can see the tongue being used to lick the meat. And then of course those canines, the very large teeth that we can see very clearly there. They don't get used for feeding much. Once they start feeding, they'll sometimes use those little teeth in the front, the middle ones you can see between the canines. But most importantly are those carnassial shears, the teeth at the side of the jaw. Big wide nose, obviously very good sense of smell. Whiskers, not as long as with leopard, but still very good whiskers. And then just most incredible eyes. It really is not often you get to look at a lion like this. Look at that. Yeah, if I keep coming, you can pull in. Oh, down his throat again. Yeah, I'll be pulling out in about 30 seconds. Look at that. Again. Almost down into his... I was going to say into his belly. Not the kind of part of a lion you necessarily want to see, but from a distance like this, safe enough. Well, we've got some other vehicles coming in, but what an amazing sighting. I haven't seen lions quite a while. To have a sighting like this, I mean, like I say, sometimes I feel a little bit silly trying to explain or talk about something so impressive. It's all kinds of facts and figures and interesting stories you can tell about lions, but in the end, when you look at it like this, when you looked into that eye the way we did, there's not really much anyone can say. It's something that you feel. It's something that you carry inside you. Sure enjoy that. We'll have one last quick close-up look there. It's always difficult to leave something like this. Look at that. Oh, stunning. We're going to make space for other vehicles. We might try and come back here towards the end of the drive again. I'm sure we'll be able to. But yeah, Saturday surprise. We seem to often have Saturday surprises and they're normally fantastic. We're going to come back in a bit.